Greetings guys, finally a new video about the idea of the Elder Scrolls 6. Sorry for waiting. Now, this video is actually my favorite in the series and I think it is the most interesting. Today we will rework the schools of magic. In previous videos we have already talked about reworking the School of Destruction. You can check out those videos later. But in Skyrim the School of Destruction was okay, so there is not a lot of things to improve. The other schools of magic were shit, so it is more interesting. Now, let's begin. Number 25, the School of Conjuration. It is quite simple, we need more creatures to summon, as it was in Oblivion. There we had many types of skeletons, several types of zombies, 3 types of ghosts, different types of Daedra, Lord Dremora, Daedra spiders, scamps, Daedrots, many types of Atronachs, and so on. Of course, it's not just about the numbers of summons, but also about the variety of the battle strategies that they can add. For example, in Skyrim, for a long time Fire Atronach has been my AA that helped fight dragons. I have been summoning the Fire Atronach late in the game, because it has range attacks. That is, we need summons that work at a distance, and for flying targets. What I'm trying to say is that we need not just different creatures, but different creatures that bring different tactics to the game. For example, in Skyrim there is no sponge type summoning to absorb damage. That is a summon that primarily distracts enemies' attention to itself, although it is not very strong with its attacks. At the same time it is difficult to kill. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. You can even add a summon that will heal you. I think it's an interesting concept. It would help make interesting builds that would focus on the attack power of your character, and the summon would focus on your HP. Of course, from Skyrim we need necromancy, because it's always fun. I liked a lot to raise the fallen enemies to fight its friends, and I liked a lot that infinite throw spell. I have been using it as a punishment for certain characters that turned on me. Now, I think that we need the ability to summon several creatures at once, and in my opinion this skill was available very late in Skyrim. You could summon 2 creatures only at the level 100 of Conjuration. I think it should be possible to do this at level 70, or I have a better idea. Make a system with unlimited summons, but for example, summoning a Fire Atronach costs 100 magic points. For example, the player has 200 magic points. If you summon the Fire Atronach, you will not only use 100 magica points, but the magic capacity will not be restored to those 200 points while your summons is on the battlefield. It's like you are concentrating magicka to keep the summon operating, so you will fight with the remaining 100 magicka points. You can call this system a magicka reserve system. The summoned creature reserve your magicka. It won't make your character ultra strong, because you will always be limited by your magic capacity, but it will remove the 1 summon limit. It will give the opportunity to summon like 5 skeletons at once, or 1 Dremora Lord, or to set an interesting combo of different types of summons, like for example 1 sponge type summon and 2 long range summons as damage dealers early in the game. Also in Test 6 we need weapon and armor conjuration in different variations. And finally, as I mentioned in my previous videos, teleportation spells like Mark and Summon will also be in the School of Conjuration. Now, before we move on, I must inform you that you can subscribe to the channel, leave a like, check out my other videos. It will give you +10 to Reese, and you will finally hook up with your hot neighbor. It's your call. Number 26 on the list is the reworking of the School of Restoration. A rather boring School of Magic in Skyrim. Even the developers themselves realized that and added the famous phrase that the School of Restoration is an absolutely valid School of Magic. This phrase is constantly repeated by the Master of the School of Restoration in the Winterhold College. I don't remember her name, but if you've played Skyrim you know what I'm talking about. She said that the masters of other schools constantly tease her because the School of Restoration is not that important. Now, the School of Restoration is one of the most difficult schools of magic to level up, but it doesn't have many ways to use it. In fact, in Skyrim, the School of Restoration has 3 manifestations: Healing, Magic Shield, which no one used, and Magic Against Undead, which no one used either. So, what do we have to do? First of all, we need to fix the reason why no one used the Magic Shield, the magic price of the spell. The spell just consumes all the player's magic in 10 seconds. NPCs, on the other hand, could hold their shield for minutes. The magic price of the shield spell should not just be reduced, it must be humiliated. Literally 10 times less. Then it will make sense. What else should be added to Restoration School? Almost all buffs. That is, spells for speed so that the player runs faster, spells to improve blocks, armor, spells to increase melee damage, to increase capacity of magic, spells not only for healing but also for regeneration, treatment of diseases and all poisons, as well as all available blessings, and so on. This will make possible to create paladin and monk builds. And perhaps the health absorbing spell should also be in the School of Restoration Magic, as a higher level spell. Skyrim also has a health absorbing spell, but it was available only for vampires or as an enchantment for weapons. This is necessary so that the player has an alternative to the School of Destruction and could deal damage to the enemy directly. Number 26. Reworking of the School of Illusion. Another useless school that almost no one used. Now, what are the main spells of illusion in Skyrim? It's a spell of calm, a spell of fear, and a spell of fury. That's it. There are several other types of spells that are also useless, but these are the main 3. The most useful spell is the spell of fury. I don't even see a point in talking about the rest. The spell of fury makes opponents attack everyone in its sight. It sounds great, especially for stealth players. But there are disadvantages. First of all, everyone in its sight means everyone, including you. Secondly, there are level restrictions. Often your spells do not work on the enemy because the enemy has a higher level. When I say often, I mean very often. And when you have already used the spell, the enemy notices you and goes to punch you in the face. Yes, the game has a skill that can be learned to make your spells silent. Then it will not be so easy to find, but you won't be able to learn this skill early in the game. And thirdly, the locations in Skyrim are usually very tight, so performing this spell in tight locations, again, you will be the victim of your enemy, not his friend. Your magic points, though, are already gone. That is, this spell is very difficult to use effectively and simply not worth the effort. So what can be changed in the School of Illusion magic to make it useful? First of all the spells of the School of Illusion are absolutely silent from the very beginning, which will allow you to play stealthy. Secondly, the spell of Fury must work on all the enemies except bosses and mini-bosses, and the enemy under this spell will never attack the player. To balance that, the spell would work for a short period of time, and would use a lot of magic. Next, a spell of control over the enemy. Full control, meaning you enter the enemy's body and can walk and fight. In the weakest version of this spell, you enter the mind of your enemy and can fight. But if you die before you get out of the victim's mind, you will also die. But this can be used to send your victim into the abyss and get out of his mind before he falls. Or simply to take the guard out of your way, to sneak somewhere or steal something. Throw away some items from your victim's inventory. For example, a key that you would need to steal, or a weapon so that the victim remains defenseless against your attacks. Only your imagination will stop you. Of course, there should be some level restrictions, but not as strict as in Skyrim. That is, ordinary opponents, yes, but bosses and mini-bosses, no. This should be a spell of level 50 of the School of Illusion. In the strongest version of this spell, level 100, Master. For example, your character will not die if your victim dies, but you will use a lot of magic during the use. That is, every second you spend magic, and for a short period of time magic regeneration would be significantly reduced. Next, of course, is the spell of blindness. That is, the enemy will not see you, only hear. It could be used on one enemy, very effective in battles. For example, like battles with robots in Dishonored 2. You shot their camera and start sneaking, striking, retreating, going behind their backs, and so on. Very interesting and unique gameplay actually. It would be an adept level spell, and maybe a greater expert level spell, which is a spell of darkness that is applied to an area. It's like the spell of darkness in Baldur's Gate 3, and of course you need to counter the spell with a spell of seeing in the dark. And of course don't forget about the spell of invisibility. And also a spell to make you more beautiful or intimidating. For example, you have a task to get some information from a person. You use a beauty spell and manage to find out everything through dialogues, and also get better prices from merchants. We had something similar in Oblivion, but here we'll cast the spell on ourselves. And of course the opposite effect, where you'll look more intimidating. For example, to persuade bandits with threats. Also, a beauty spell can hide the fact that you're a vampire, for example. Spell of Silence from Oblivion. That is, enemies can't cast spells. It is also very effective. The spell of Shapeshifting. You could turn into another character to infiltrate different areas. Of course, this would be a higher level spell. Now, as for me, my version of the School of Illusion is very useful, especially for stealth characters for creative playthroughs. I think this School of Magic would be a favorite School of Magic of many players. What do you think? Would you play as a mage of the School of Illusion? Now, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave a like, check out my other videos, eat your vegetables and don't be naughty. See you later.